Imagine for a moment that Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, has just logged onto the internet for the first time. He sees the endless stream of posts, tweets, and videos, all competing for attention. He notices how easily people swipe through messages, digest new memes, and argue in the comments. His initial reaction might be fascination. This is, after all, a world overflowing with information. But as he delves deeper, his philosophical instincts would kick in. He would begin to ask, where is the truth here? And how can we know what's real? Plato's entire philosophy revolves around the idea that the tangible world, the one we see, hear, and touch, is only an imperfect reflection of deeper, unchanging truths. In his famous allegory of the cave, he describes a group of prisoners chained so that they can only look at shadows projected on a wall. These shadows are merely echoes of real objects, but the prisoners don't know that. They think the shadows are the whole truth. This allegory is Plato's way of warning us that everyday appearances can deceive us. To grasp a reality, or what he calls the forms, we must look beyond the shadows. Now place Plato in the era of social media. He'd likely see parallels between the flickering shadows on the cave wall and the daily flood of online content. Memes, viral videos, and trending news stories could serve as modern shadows. People scroll through them for hours, trusting that they somehow represent the real world. But Plato would caution, are these fleeting images truly the essence of reality, or are they merely reflections and distortions? He might say that many users are still chained in the digital cave, mistaking volume and velocity of information for truth. Another thing Plato emphasized was the pursuit of wisdom through dialectic, the art of reasoned discussion. He believed genuine understanding emerges when people engage in disciplined dialogue, question each other's assumptions, and refine their ideas. At first glance, social media might look like a perfect vehicle for such dialogue. Anyone can comment, anyone can reply, and you can theoretically have thousands of people debating a topic in real time. But if Plato scrolled through a heated Twitter thread or read certain comment sections, he might be alarmed. Instead of careful reasoning, he'd find emotional outbursts, personal attacks, and a tendency to polarize opinions. Rather than inching toward a deeper understanding, many online arguments push people further into their separate corners. This would lead him to critique the way misinformation and half-truths can circulate at lightning speed. He often spoke of the philosopher's role in distinguishing mere opinions from grounded knowledge. In the realm of social media, you have an almost infinite supply of opinions, from everyday users, influencers, or even automated bots. What you don't always have is the philosophical process of scrutinizing claims, evaluating evidence, and seeking consistency. Plato would ask, where is the method to filter out what is only surface appearance from what might be closer to a real, unchanging truth? He might also worry about how fame and popularity can overshadow substance. In his dialogues, Plato is critical of sophists, teachers who use persuasive speech to gain influence, rather than to seek true knowledge. On the internet, a modern-day sophist could be someone who masters clickbait titles or sensational content to maximize views, without caring whether the content is accurate. Plato's notion that many are swayed by appearances and rhetoric would be validated every time a shallow, flashy post goes viral, while more thoughtful, nuanced commentary goes unnoticed. Yet Plato wouldn't necessarily condemn social media outright. There is real potential in the online world for education and enlightenment. If users enter online spaces with the same kind of intellectual rigor he admired, they could share knowledge at an unprecedented scale. Platforms could become virtual symposia, allowing experts and curious minds to collaborate and refine each other's ideas. He might see echoes of his academy in online learning communities, forums, and discussion groups where respectful inquiry is valued. However, he'd still emphasize the need for philosophical discipline, cautioning us to be aware of our own biases. In the digital cave, we risk seeing not just shadows, but an endless hall of mirrors. Personalization algorithms tailor the content we see, meaning we can get stuck in echo chambers that reinforce our existing beliefs. Plato recognized that true understanding often requires challenging our perspectives and stepping out of our comfort zones. In the social media age, it might mean seeking out voices we disagree with, verifying sources, and engaging in discussions that test our assumptions. Finally, Plato believed that wisdom is closely linked to virtue, that one who truly understands goodness becomes inclined to act justly. If he looked at our online conduct, he might be concerned by the culture of outrage, trolling, and harassment that sometimes emerges. For Plato, real progress involves not just intellect, but also character. In a landscape where anonymity can breed cruelty, he'd likely argue that we need to cultivate a moral framework that encourages responsible discourse. So, how might Plato sum up his thoughts on social media? He might say that, like the shadows on the cave wall, social media content can be misleading if we take it at face value. We need to be vigilant and recognize that many of our digital encounters are only partial glimpses of truth. We should strive to bring our discussions closer to the philosophical method, asking questions, testing ideas, and seeking clarity. And above all, we should remember that knowledge is not just about collecting facts, it's about understanding the deeper forms that shape our world. In the end, Plato wouldn't be against the internet's ability to spread ideas. He would simply remind us of the dangers of mistaking quantity for quality or popularity for wisdom. He'd challenge us to move beyond the shadows of memes and headlines and approach the online space as seekers of truth, armed with curiosity and a commitment to reason. By doing so, we could transform social media from a digital echo chamber into a global classroom, one that leads us closer to genuine knowledge instead of leaving us chained to illusions.